All right, all right, all right, all right. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome to today's exclusive conversation. I want to welcome everybody into the room. Come on in, have a seat. Hey, Sheila. Hey, Tamasha. Hey. Come on in, have a seat, sit down, and act like you got some sense. We're going to have a good conversation tonight. Y'all know how your mom says that when you're little, come on in, sit down, and act like you got some sense now. We're going to be good. We're going to be good. It's going to be a good conversation. As you guys know, Ready to Love is back. I had a conversation on Friday. We recapped Friday's episode after the show with Shay, who was from season one, who was a good friend of mine. So if you did not see that, check it out. But we talked about this episode that we saw on Friday. And the episode was it was just so much going on, and social media had such a response that when I got a message asking was I open to talk to this young lady right now as opposed to later, how we usually do, I was like, absolutely, because as you guys know, we are all about getting to the root, getting to the bottom of the story, and making sure everybody has their opportunity to speak. So we have Taquilla here with us today. I'm getting ready to bring her up, but I want to set some ground rules before we do. You guys know how we do. Number one, we're going to listen to what she has to say. And of course, we're going to talk about what we saw in the first two episodes. We're going to talk about the first two episodes of Ready to Love. But I want to tell you to go ahead and like and share this because we know a lot of people saw Friday's episode. It triggered a lot of people. It triggered a lot. I mean, myself, Shay and I were just like, woo, what is going on? And so it was definitely something I think that is worth conversation. And so the best way to clear up anything is always to go to the horse's mouth. So instead of talking about it anymore, I wanted to welcome Taquilla on. So we're going to bring her on now and go ahead and get started. Hey, Taquilla.
Hello, Crystal. How are you?
I am good. I am good. How was your weekend, first of all?
My weekend was it was good for the most part, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
It was a little emotional roller coaster, but hey, I got through it with the support of my castmates, family, and friends. So
Nice.
it ended up being a good one.
That's good. That's good. Well, this social media and reality TV is a heck of a combination. And but that's why I love doing these interviews, because when people come here, we give them a chance to share their side of the story. And I also believe that this season rather, I want to have people come on during the show, right when the episode happens, so that we can go ahead and talk about what happened. We can go ahead and get to the bottom of it before the end of the season, when it's a whole bunch of other stuff don't happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
So before we get into this season and the first two episodes and everything that we saw with you on specifically Friday's episode, I want to ask you what initially drew you to Ready to Love Dallas, because at this point everybody has seen Ready to Love. I know people come on here and they tell me, I never saw the show before, I have no idea how I got on Ready to Love, and I just be like, okay, girl. but it's just not realistic to believe that after all these seasons, all these different cities, that people aren't aware and don't come on the show with the idea of what they're going to be up against. So what was it that drew you to the show? Where were you at in life, and what made you sign up?
So I definitely am a fan of Ready to Love. I've watched it since season one.
Okay.
And I've always said, watching each season, if it ever comes to a city where I'm living at, I definitely want to apply and be casted just to experience it, see what opportunities out there, people like that. So when I found out Ready to Love was coming to Dallas, my coworkers, my friends started tagging me in the cast call post. And so I applied.
Okay.
It took me about 4 hours to do the application because, I had poured my heart into that application process.
Right.
So I wanted them to feel what I've been through. So the next day on the way to work, I got a call. And I was like, ooh, is this a joke or is this for real? So, I did my little phone interview and I started going through the interview process, which is a very long process. And here I am.
And here you are. Okay.
Yes.
Now I appreciate you being honest and saying you saw it, you were a fan of the show, and that you wanted to
Absolutely.
do it. That's what's up. Now, where were you at in your dating life? Like, because I'm always interested. Most people are either in something or there's somebody that they're, that's a part of their life. Where were you at with dating, and what had your dating experience been like in Dallas prior to, you coming on the show?
So as far as dating, I had just gotten out of a relationship like a year before I applied for this role. So I had recently applied to be on the show.
Okay.
Back in last year.
Okay.
Sometime. And so during that time while I was done with that relationship, I was healing. I went through therapy,
Mm-hmm.
just taking a lot of time, spending a lot of time with myself, getting to the root issues of everything, and using that time to spend it with my family and friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But my dating experience in Dallas so far, if I'm being honest, has been very ghetto. And it's with a capital G.
Okay. Okay.
If we gonna speak about ghetto, dating is very ghetto.
Okay. What are
So,
some of your what give us without giving the person's name or anything, what are something, because one of the things that I took note of
mhm.
when you were sitting down with one of the guys, you said, this situation kind of brought up something that had happened in your past. So what were you speaking of, and what was that experience like that kind of triggered you with the situation Ready to Love?
So in my past relationships, I've been big on honesty, being direct, just being open,
Mm-hmm.
authentic. And so I wasn't getting a lot of that in my relationships, even though I had proof of it and would ask just because I wanted that direct confirmation, even though I had the proof in the pudding right there, but I just
Right.
wanted that validation.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it was, let me give you one example. Like I would go on these dates.
Okay.
These men wouldn't even pay for my meals.
Uh-oh.
So that was a trigger in itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going on dates, and we get there, we having a fun. One guy was like, well, I don't get paid till this. Do you mind if we split the okay, yeah.
Mm.
I always got me at the end of the day. So yeah, I could pay my tab. But that happened a lot on some dates. And I
Oh,
was like, oh, okay,
okay.
this is not good.
Yeah.
Then I was dating guys who was, oh, I'm just working, take care of my mom and grandmother. She lives with me, and it was the other way around. You live with your mom or your grandma,
Right.
taking care of them. Then you
Right.
out the streets with your homeboys, you play in the streets and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It was just honestly, Crystal, it's a mixture of a lot of things. I dated a guy who has a child
Mm-hmm.
with the mother of his child, and I was dating him, and he was telling me that it was over,
Mm-hmm.
and trusting him, because everybody gets a clean slate with me until they give me a reason not to trust them or believe them.
Okay. Okay.
So you're going around the mother of your child's house when it involves the kids' birthdays, family holidays, functions. I trust that you're over there just co-parenting. Now y'all was sleeping together, staying the night, all those
How old
things.
was the child?
4.
Oh, okay. 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 Let me ask you this, Taquilla, because I feel like, how old are you?
I'm 35.
35. So at 35, we grown. Do you feel
Absolutely.
like do you feel like that there was something, what would you attribute the fact that you were kind of running into some bad situations? Do you think that maybe you have a type that gets you into trouble? What do you think is, like, when you had some time to do therapy and kind of sit with yourself, what do you think was the reason that you were ending up in these situations that were, ultimately just not for your best interest?
The specific type. I kept going after the same type of
There
men.
we go. Okay.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you decided to
Which
make
is why it was very important for me to come to this process and do the work and be open.
Okay. Okay. I got you. All right. So you are originally from, people are asking where you're originally from.
Okay, so can I go ahead and clear this up?
Come on
I'm
with
not from Pleasant Grove.
it. Okay.
I am not from Oak Cliff. I
Okay.
am from Shreveport, Louisiana. I
Okay.
have been a Texan since 2006.
Okay. So you have been there for a minute, but you're originally from Shreveport. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I've always lived in the Fort Worth area.
Fort Worth. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. Okay. Somebody on here had it. They're like, nope, she's from Shreveport, so she did. She got it right. Okay. So you get this makes your picker was off, as a lot of ours. You know, my picker had been off. Lots of people's pickers are off initially.
Absolutely.
Come to the show, and you're trying to do something different. Now, well, first of all, okay. So what when you got to the show, the first mixer? Who are you initially attracted to? Physically attracted to? Because we talked about the fact that the picker may have been off with some other stuff, but the physicality, what do you like physically? What are you drawn to physically?
If we're seriously going off of physicality and just not off characteristics at the first beginning, it will be Marie.
Okay. Okay, explain that.
Marie is handsome. Don't get it twisted.
No. I mean, I'm asking because certain people like certain things. So I'm not saying anything. We haven't gotten to know the guys enough to know who is who. But I mean, for me, my type, I always like tall, dark, and handsome. So and some muscle. So they had to be kind of like it was the same type over and over again. So I know for me,
absolutely,
yeah.
So definitely chocolate.
Okay.
Between a little brown and chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
I love bigger men. They don't necessarily have to be built muscular, but you know, I have to feel safe and secure and protected. So
understood.
That's what instantly drew me to him. But my second person, actually, if I could go off three, it was Quentin, then it was Chris.
Okay. Okay. All right. So obviously, we noticed that there's no Habibi in that list.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So hold on. I'm gonna play this clip. I'm gonna play this clip from the first show, and then we're gonna get into how your top three started with those three, and then we ended up talking about Habibi. We ended up seeing you talk about Habibi. All right, hold on, guys.
Match each other's energy. He likes to live life on the edge, so if he say, let's do it, I'm right behind him. Like,
he's an entertainer, and he's here to entertain us. He's not here for love. He's going to be whatever he thinks you want to see in that moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A
Okay.
lot of people don't value that kind of love anymore.
Okay. All right. So come on, Taquilla. How were we not initially attracted to him? And then we ended up, really having his back and being attracted to him on that first episode.
So if we're going by attraction, those are the three that stood out to me at first. Doesn't necessarily mean they were in my top at that moment.
Okay, that's just like physically. Okay.
Physically, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Those are the first three that caught my eyes.
Okay.
Now, what was your question? I'm sorry.
So well, okay. So let's talk about when you started having conversation. When you started having conversation, who did you connect with? Who did you gel with once you guys started having conversation?
So when I started having conversations, the first person I spoke with was Phil at the table with Aries.
Okay.
Then after that, it was Chris, and then it was, I want to say, Brandon.
Okay.
And so those conversations were just surface level. They were, the normal getting to know, the standard questions. So it went smooth.
Okay.
So it's funny because it's not going to show, but when Habibi comes in, as soon as I sat down, I spilled my whole glass of wine on my dress.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there with Kira, and I want to say it was either Kira, Brandon, or Mark. It's one of them. I can't remember exactly from the scene. So I'm sitting there trying to clean up myself, and Habibi's sitting there. He's just sitting there looking, and I was like, "Can you not give me some napkins or something? You're not gonna get up?" And he was like, "Else no, I'm not finna get up and do that." And I say, "You are so disrespectful. Like, you are rude." Like, and he was like, "No, I'm just playing." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to clean that up. So I'm gonna have to have a conversation with you, because yeah, we're gonna have to clean that up." And so he came and sat down next to me, and he was like, "You feisty, but I like you. I like that about you." And I was like, "Well, you're rude, and I don't like that about you." So we going back and forth. And then he was just like, "No, I just like to play a lot. I like to have a good time. I like to laugh." So we're having this brief conversation, and then we started just talking about normal stuff. Like, he stopped playing, and then he started, acting like the adult that he is. So
Okay, so let's stop there, because a big part of what we saw with him was him talking about his job, and him talking about the fact that he kind of moves around a lot and all of that. So when you said you guys were talking about real stuff, because we try, I'm gonna give him a chance if he wants to come on and talk as well. But we saw a lot of very disrespectful comments from him, and I can understand why some of them felt like he was playing, but some just felt like no, not at all. So what did you get from him that actually made you say, okay, I'm actually seeing a real person here? Like, what did he share with you that you can share with us so that we can see something else besides the foolishness that we saw on the show? Because I'm not gonna lie, like, it was just really unsettling. And of course, I'm in the entertainment industry, so I work around a lot of musicians and entertainers. And just because you're an entertainer doesn't mean that you have to be a cheater or an asshole. You know what I mean? So it's not like,
no, I agree.
I felt like he was kind of blaming the fact that he was a saxophonist. I know a lot of musicians that are like, not like that at all. So do you think, April says he's sarcastic and has a strange sense of humor? I do think
very dry.
But also there has to be a level of respect. But I want you to tell us what you got from him that made you say, okay, I actually, we could be friends. I actually am feeling him, as at least in the friendship space.
You said the key word, friendship.
Okay.
So at that time, so I operate in a place of, like I said, I operate when I'm meeting somebody in a place of respect, common courtesy, friendliness, just pretty much I try to operate in joy and giving people a chance. I truly try to move in the way that God sees us. So I try to operate in that same type of vision, although it can be hard sometimes. I fall short sometimes. But that's how I really do try to operate. So when we talked about him being in the military, we talked about his job, him playing a saxophone, him being a DJ, his son, the different, we start on the culture stuff. We talked about that, and I was like, okay, so he has a diverse background. He's been through a lot of traveling. He does a lot of traveling. Then we talked about food. So it was like, okay, when he's not acting crazy, he can hold a decent conversation.
Okay.
And so the fact that we had just a decent dialogue where it wasn't no, kind of childish stuff, nothing, I was like, I actually enjoyed laughing and talking to him. And then we was joking. Okay. And I've given, I don't remember exactly, but I know in the second time I spoke to Habibi where he came to comfort me and talk to me, when I may be getting ahead of what you're gonna ask me.
No. Is it now? You're talking about once you had almost been eliminated. You were the second one. You stayed. They sent, I believe it was Leanne home, and then he came. You had quite a few guys came over there. Let's talk about that first, because obviously I feel like that was connected to his attention, but you seemed really upset when you were in the bottom two. And you said you felt like you kind of got played. What was it? Who did you connected with to make you feel? Because I would assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you guys come on the show, and again, I'm saying this, please educate me, because I would never go on the show, because I would already know I'm not built for Ready to Love. I would probably go home immediately. I'm just not, that wouldn't be my thing. So I already know I would end up in the bottom immediately. But and that's okay. That's why I would do. But I wonder how people, when they come on, are always so shocked, because there's a chance that you could go. It's what, 9 women, 9 men. So when people's feelings are hurt, I'm assuming that either they had a connection with somebody that we didn't see, or they really just didn't take into consideration that they would be sent home. But I'm just like, it's a 1 out of 9 chance, which is pretty high. So what was it that happened that caused you to be so shocked that you were in the bottom? Because you didn't go home, but that you were in the bottom.
Okay, so it had already been a long day. Can we start there?
Okay.
So we were out. I got there at like 10 o'clock that morning, and so by the time we were about to do eliminations, I believe it was like midnight. So it's hot outside, feet hurting, got on heels, sweating, trying to keep your makeup, because during that time we didn't have touch-ups on there because we had to come ready.
Okay.
So, trying to keep yourself looking nice. We, water, alcohol. I didn't even get to eat. So it was just like, it was a number of things that were going on, just pretty much exhaustion at that point. It got to a point where I was like, I need a break from the cameras because it's like, it's overwhelming. It's new to you. Then you're having to talk to 9 different people. And then you want to be course and make, conversation with the ladies too. So you're trying to meet everybody, get a feel.
Right.
It really is almost like the speed dating type thing. Because when I would be in one good deep conversation with a guy, I get pulled to another guy. And then I didn't get to finish that conversation. And like right when I'm about to go up, I get pulled in another direction. So it's like, oh, man, I didn't even get to talk to that person.
Okay.
Or like, so that's how that was going. And then preparing for that day, being up early that morning, paying money for makeup, hair, taking off work. Like I put a lot of effort coming and preparing for this big day. So coming into there, I had really deep conversation with Chris. I really wish they would have showed that because me and Chris like vibed.
And you liked him, and you said,
"Oh, I love him."
Okay.
I liked Chris a lot. Red too. Me and Red even had some little jokes in there. I had a good conversation. Me and Mario went deep too.
Okay.
Phil, we have our conversation with Phil, but for the most part, I even had a talk with Quentin. Like me and Quentin, like we talked really good too. We went deep, and then it kind of just was okay. I gotta go talk. We have to mingle and stuff because we would have sat there probably kept talking. So
yeah, you felt like you had some good conversation
because of the conversations we were having, and we were laughing, and it was like you real cool. Like I'm feeling this conversation. So to me, I'm like, okay, we're off to a good start. So I made it a point to work the room and try to meet everyone. I didn't get to talk to Herbert. The minute I wanted to talk to Herbert, I got pulled away.
Okay.
So I didn't get to meet Herbert at that time. I did get to talk to Marvin. It's not going to be shown, but me and Marvin actually have so much more in common as far as reading, food, our family values, and then he likes to travel. So me and Marvin got to talk about some stuff too, but I didn't get to circle back and finish my conversation with him. So I think there was like a miscommunication with him and I, because I was like, oh, Marvin's not feeling me. And he thought I wasn't feeling him either. So it was just a big communication with him and I. But so when I was called to the bottom, by this time I'm exhausted. I'm like, can we come on and wrap this up? And I was like, I feel like I was doing good. I was mingling with the ladies. So every single one of them, they were beautiful because they were, just trying to get to know them as well. So it's a long day.
Was there any tension with the other ladies on that first night?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so everything was
well, not with me anyway.
Not with you. Everybody was friendly. Everything seemed cool with everybody that first day.
Everything was friendly from my end. I can't speak for everyone else. Like I've seen some stuff, but from my part, I was very friendly and welcoming, embracing the ladies. So yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So I will say this, like I said, I get it. It probably is a blow to everybody's ego.
It's embarrassing because it's like, man, I'm like, did I do something or say something? And then, with the exhaustion, all that, I'm putting in money. I'm like, this was a long interview process. I was interviewing for months, and just to get sent home on the first date. Come on, let's be human about it. Let's be honest. It's a dig, and it's very embarrassing. And one thing I stand on is stay true to who you are. Like, be for real and be honest about how you feel. That was very embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, I would say this, Taquilla, it shouldn't be embarrassing. I know it. It shouldn't be embarrassing because, hey, we are all out there dating, and time it's not a fit. It's not a fit. It doesn't mean that that you're a bad person or you're not quote unquote ready to love. It just your person isn't there. And out of 9 guys the possibility of your person not being there is very high. So I would just, and I know it's easy for me to say sitting home on my sofa watching it, that it shouldn't be embarrassing,
Yeah.
but say it realistically, it doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you at all. I do want to clear up, first of all, for those of you watching, the chat is amazing tonight. Thank you guys so much for being so interactive. I love it. I do want to make sure that you guys share this so everybody can get a chance to hear Taquilla's side of this. And I also want to clear up the fact that she is not eliminated. This is just a conversation because Friday night went so crazy and people were talking about it. And so I wanted her to be able to come in here and tell her story so that people weren't just assuming things wrong all the way to next Friday. And then also, you guys know on the edit, we don't really get a chance to see the full story. So I'm doing things different this season. We're going to be talking to people in real time so that you guys can get the story along the way. So I want to make people know she's still locked and loaded. She's still on her journey. But as of today, we're talking about the first 2 days. And so talking about being in the bottom, let's talk about Brandon, because Brandon was the first person to go home. And I think people kind of assumed that he would be because of his story. How did you feel about Brandon? And did you think it was a good idea for him to go home first?
I'm gonna be honest with you. In my conversation, what I appreciated about Brandon when we sat down at the table and talked, Brandon was 100. He was so raw and honest that I appreciated it. So when he told me, he was like, recently divorced. I think I missed the part as far as how recent the divorce was. I didn't remember him telling me it was 6 months ago.
Okay.
But he did tell me he had 4 kids by the same woman. I was like, okay. He said, I tried to make my family work, now we co-parent. Well, I was like, hats off to you. You tried. He didn't tell me twice though. So in talking to him, so it was just kind of like, I'm like, I didn't get those details. So, and granted, it was just, we immediately sat down and I started, asking questions. So he kind of was just answering as I was asking them. And so after that, that's when Marvin sat down. But I will say, I did not, if I'm being honest with you, I did not think Brandon was going home.
Really? Who did you think was going home?
I definitely knew Habibi was going to be in the bottom, and just how everybody was feeling about him. I was like, yeah, Habibi may get up out of there today. And I even gave him some advice. I was like, hey, quit playing. Just really get to know these people. Like, be for real. And so he kind of got it together. But no, I did not think Brandon was going home. He's handsome. But he was more reserved and quiet. And I've always dated extrovert men. And he's very introvert and laid back. So...
So you didn't have a connection with Brandon. I'm wondering if Brandon had a connection with any of the other women, because it felt like, I know for us, the viewers watching, if somebody says that they're 6 months out of a divorce, I want to say I know a lot of people that marry the same person twice. I know a lot of people that do that. Because a lot of times people get divorced too quickly, or they got divorced because of their emotional and they didn't really give it a chance. So I wasn't so much, thrown off by the fact that he was married to her twice. It was the fact that it was only 6 months ago they got divorced, and they've been married twice. So, there's a lot of love and a lot of connection there. Yes. So that's what I felt like, I could understand him going home, because I felt like he probably, and the fact that he brought it up in every conversation,
Not mine, because I didn't find out until I got on the bench with, when I was sitting in that area with Unique and Janelle, and they elaborated, and I was like, 4 kids, and wait, 6 months ago? I was like, oh, he didn't tell me that. So I guess my time with him was cut short to where we didn't get that deep in the conversation, but he answered it. So, but
he had shared that with pretty much all the other ladies, because I know we heard it over and over and over again that he was. I want to play this clip here, and I want to ask you a couple of questions about the situation with Habibi, because that's what has caused everybody to be turned up and asking, like, what would make her have his back like that? So I want to ask this question. I want to play this clip and then ask you about, after you came back from and you didn't go home, what do you think Habibi's interests were? Hold on.
Who the say some like that?
It's not the right clip. Hold on.
Okay.
We may not have this. So there was a clip of you guys all sitting down talking, right?
Uh-huh.
You and Janelle and another young lady. And I just want to ask, like, do you think, because when you first started to like kind of support Habibi and like really kind of have his back, do you think that the reason that he came over and was so kind and was so talkative, at least from what we saw, was because obviously of somebody he knew the rest of the ladies were having issue with him, right? A lot of them. Do you think that it was because he felt like, oh, she can be an ally for me, and this is easier because I'm getting resistance other places?
If I'm being honest with you,
Mhm.
I have had let's be honest. Everybody has either had a Habibi in their life or experienced a Habibi, whether it's in a friendship, relationship, or it's a family member. So for me, huh?
I said I've seen some Habibis.
Yes. So I work with them too.
Yeah.
So let's be real. So I feel like he may, and this is an assumption. Like, if this is me, you're asking me, this is just my opinion.
Right.
He probably did use me as an ally.
Mm-hmm.
But I was being fair and open to the process by getting to know him, giving him a chance, even though the red flags were there. I'm like, it has to be more to him. Like, I want to get to know him and dig deeper on why he acts the way he does.
Okay.
And so he probably didn't use me as an ally. But when he came back around that second time to comfort me, I didn't expect anything less because we had talked so much throughout the day.
Yeah.
We were sitting by the fireplace taking shots, having fun, just drinking and laughing. Like, it was definitely a friendship vibe. I was like, Habibi is like really cool, like chill when he's not being playful.
Right.
Like, his humor is just different. It really is. It's dry. It can be disrespectful, but
disrespectful. That's a problem. What did you think?
And I told him that, like, there's nothing I wouldn't say on this live that I have not said to Habibi. Me and Habibi keep it all the way 100 with each other.
What did you think about the other women? Because even though, you were talking to him and you could see a place in him that was good, I mean, he was making some comments to some of the other women that was really hard to hear. I don't know how much of that you heard prior to what you saw on Friday.
I didn't hear any of it.
Okay.
So we're moving around, so, and it's 20 million conversations going on. So I'm not privy, nor was I around to hear his conversation with other people. I can only tell you what him and I was talking about. I couldn't hear him because we were all spread out in different areas.
Right.
So, and then when nephew Tommy came to talk to us, he talked to us in different groups. So I know Unique, she was just like, he's being himself, which me and her both still agree on. Like, he's not faking. He is being his authentic self, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
He's showing up to this process being his authentic self. And so, he may not have been for her, for me. But I was willing to take a chance and still get to know him.
Okay.
Throughout this process.
What did you hear him say that he was a cheater? Did you hear that? Did he tell you that? Did he tell you that he had cheated before?
No.
Okay.
I did know that he dated for 11 days and had the child.
Okay.
Got the woman pregnant.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that's life, depending on how you move.
Yeah, and let's be honest, Crystal, plenty of people cheat and still stick around with they mate or whatever.
Absolutely. So. And most people, I will say this, when he said, my problem is not that he acknowledged that he had cheated in the past, because I feel like 99% of men and maybe 97% of women at some point in their life, from the time they've been dating to the time they are at this place, have cheated. Most people have. It's not abnormal. My problem was he seemed so he seemed very much like he didn't have a problem with cheating. Like he may do it again. Like it wasn't like he felt like cheating was a bad thing. Now he could have just been poking the bear. I don't know. But I don't have a problem with a man saying, yes, I've cheated before. Because I would rather you say you've cheated before than say, no, I've never cheated. Because when
exactly.
he says I've never cheated, I'm always like,
yes.
If you say I have cheated and I learned from it and I understand and what I need in a relationship and I'm doing my best, that's different than saying, yep, I cheated every time. I mean,
but he said that at the bowling alley. So that's when he told me when we were at the bowling alley when we were throwing the darts. He did say I cheated because she wouldn't give me oral sex, but I grew up and I learned from that. So he took accountability in that moment.
Okay. He took accountability. And Glamour's like, I'm just throwing out, these are not proven statistics. It's just Crystal's opinion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Don't fuss with me about that number now. I'm just saying, I think most people have cheated or at some point in their life. Nobody is above having committed a mistake before. My problem is how you've handled it in the future. Now, I do want to ask you what, because you were such a advocate for him, even when you heard the things that other ladies were saying. I want to go on the record and say when he said your mama ain't ish, I think he was just joking, right?
He was joking.
I don't think he was talking necessarily, but I also think you have to know how to read the room. He didn't know her well enough to play like that. Like, you know, if I'm playing back and forth with one of my friends and I'm quick to, like, if I'm joking with a good friend, I'm quick to be like your mama. And I'm just playing. I don't know. I'm not talking about the person's mama. We're just going back. But it's somebody I know and we have that rapport and we're just playing. So when he said, your mama ain't, I don't think he meant it in a negative way, but she definitely, so what he should have done is apologized and told her I was just playing. I don't know if he did that or not, because that's
he did. He said on the clip, he was like, I'm just playing.
But I think even more because she was obviously offended. You know what I mean? But I feel like at the point, and we don't know what actually happened, but you could see her withdraw from the conversation. So I feel like you gotta be able to read the room and say, oh, wait a minute, I want to make sure she knows that I was not really trying to hurt her feelings. Now, the comment that he made to Janelle, there is no excuse for that one. So was
it shown?
Pardon?
Was it shown?
We did not see it. So we did not see it. That is when
I tried to have that open conversation on camera so that we can address it right then and there at the bowling alley, because if somebody says something to me off camera and it's getting brought up where we can really just hash it out and get to the root of it, I'm going to answer. We finna talk about it. We grown. Let's talk about it. Let's be honest. It was a lot of people talking about sex on that first night. It just wasn't me, but I got shown doing it. Yeah. There are more people who are more sexual than that talked about sex more than I do. Too. And if we want to talk about jokester, Sierra's the biggest jokester out of everybody on the cast. Okay. So outside of Red being a comedian, which he jokes a lot too, Phil, I think, is trying to get into the comedian field. I think he does it a little bit too. But it's like we had a bunch of characters that like to joke, and then he clearly is telling you he's joking and laughing.
But I mean, we didn't hear. So let me ask you this: did Janelle share with the rest of you all the statement that he made about if she turned around, he next time in that close in his face, next time he would suck her breast? Did you guys know that he said that?
I didn't hear that for the first time until we were in the women's lounge.
Okay. So
I didn't hear it before that.
If he said that, when you heard that he said that, what was your thought process?
So after I heard that, I was like, and I'm being honest because I told this to him and everybody else. I said I wouldn't put it past Habibi to say something like that.
Okay.
My question is, if he was joking, it's still inappropriate.
It's not.
But if he said that, we have a bigger issue at hand. And I told him, baby. So I called him. I said, did you really say that to her? And he was like, T, come on, be for real. I'm like, I am being for real. Because I was like, that's a whole different ball game.
That's like sexual harassment. Like,
That's a whole different ball game. Yes, ma'am. So he was like, he said he asked the producer, he was like, can you please play back? And apparently it was said off camera. He was like, if it was said on camera, play it back. And the producer was like, I don't remember you saying nothing like that. This is what he was telling me. So I was like, was it anybody else around that can, you know? And he was like, no. And he was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I said that.
I don't think.
He said that's what he said. So when he said that, I'm like, okay. Because it was tension between them two. But I didn't know about the tension at the wine bar or whatever. So when we got to the bowling alley, it was just a real awkward communication with them too. It's like, I don't even think they spoke to each other. So I was like, oh, there seems to be some tension. Is everything okay? Like, I was trying to see, is everything okay? She was like, no, I don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I didn't think nothing of it. But when we got in the women's lounge, that's when she brought it up. And I'm like, so why didn't you bring it up when I asked, was there an issue with you and him? That way we could have addressed him and he would have been able to speak. We would have got his side. We would have got her side. We could have squashed this both, but you're in the women's lounge. He's not there to speak his behalf, but you are. So of course, us being women, of course, we're favored. So they're gonna cling more to our side of the story, which is necessary in this case. So that's what was going through my head. It was just like, okay, if it wasn't on camera and it happened off camera, let's give both of y'all the opportunity to speak about it on the camera so we can address it.
But with him saying, I will say this, Taquilla, this is just my opinion. With him saying, I don't think I said it, that's not. I
can understand it.
Yeah, I'm not cool with that, because a man should know. Of course I wouldn't say that. And if you can't tell me, of course I didn't say that, of course, like, that's not me. And for it to be like, okay, maybe he did, then that's inappropriate. And I agree with the comments that if, you know, once he said that, I wish Janelle would have told Tommy, because
right then and there.
He don't need to go to elimination. You just aren't ready to be on this show, because if you don't know how to respect women, you should not be on Ready to Love. It's totally unacceptable. So I just want to ask you, in that moment, because for you were so emotional about him, the conversation with him when let's go ahead and now we can play my clip. Let me go ahead and play my clip and play the clip now. Let's see this.
Okay.
Who the say some like that?
They top. And your tops ain't no better.
Well, he ain't none of them said that to you.
Correct.
Exactly.
And it's because the energy you give him.
Baby, that's not
you
the
haven't
energy
even
I
sat
gave
to
him.
try to get to
I
know
didn't give
him.
him no energy. I turned
Hang
around.
gallery.
Hang on.
Gallery, boo.
Don't get mad because they don't like you.
Oh, I ain't mad. Girl, boo.
Oh, please.
They only going for you because of your skin color.
Because
I'm
what?
serious.
You
heard
wait.
me.
Janelle. No, I didn't hear you.
Hold.
Baby, are you getting up? Yes, ma'am. Are you getting up?
No.
When we talk this long?
Oh, be about it then.
Step outside right now.
I'm not stuck.
Let me tell you.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about this. A lot in that clip, but why were you so passionate about defending him? Now, Janelle did, when she came back and was like, when Tommy said, who would say something like that? And then she says, they top. She was talking about Habibi being in your top. So your response, was it, where was your, that is poking the bear, but where did your response?
It was a lot of poking that wasn't shown.
Okay.
So my thing was that went through my head was, girl, it's literally been the next day. So how do you know who likes me and who doesn't?
Right.
Like who made you Queen Elizabeth to feel like you're that high up to say, oh, that's what they don't like you. Don't be mad because they don't like you.
Yeah.
How you know that? So my thing is, as a person who just went through this process, like the 140 other people prior to the interview,
right.
It hurt me to find out that the rumor of colorism played a role in the dating aspect of Ready to Love.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Because you made the statement, and I hate that, but I wanted us to talk about it. The statement of
Let's talk about it.
The only reason they picked you is because of your skin color. Why?
Okay. So those words came out because I experienced it. Okay. In that moment, production allowed Janelle to ruin the process And that's what came out of my mouth in that moment, because a lot was left out. It was a lot of back and forth that went on.
Okay.
And so it was so bad that every time Tommy asked me a question, Sierra and Janelle kept cutting me off. And he had said, hold up. I am talking to Taquilla. Please let her speak. She didn't speak when y'all were speaking. Give her chance to speak. And so it was a lot of that going on, like interrupting. And so also mental health jab was thrown at me by Janelle and Jessica, which was another primary reason why I was upset and emotional, because, and this is where I have to work on too, because my expectations of people are too high. But I had higher expectations of Jessica for you to throw that mental health jab at me, and you're currently grieving the death of your mother.
Who says she? What?
Yes. No. Yes. So you're throwing a mental health jab at me, you and Janelle. Oh, she needs to take her pill. She crazy. It was like some, yes. So I'm like, whoa. So that's a jab at my mental health. You're grieving the death of your mother. If we want to throw some jabs,
this is all bad.
Yeah, but they're not going to show that. So in that moment, you have to understand, like, I'm like, I tried to handle this situation, figure out what the issue was with Janelle. And first of all, let me just say this too. It was raining that day.
Okay.
There was a miscommunication with me and production as far as dress code. So I came in there with a corduroy jumpsuit on, because he was like, wear your brown corduroy jumpsuit. It was a big misunderstanding. So when I got there, everybody aesthetically had on dresses and heels. And I'm like, why am I the only one in this jumpsuit? So no, I had to go run at the last minute, go grab something. And that was the only thing I could grab. So, you know, I'm putting on my jumpsuit. I had on my jumpsuit. I'm like, it's raining. I'm not going to put on no lotion. So I'm not wearing lotion. So we get there and I'm like, me and him are going back and forth, me and the producer. I'm like, how was this a miscommunication? I'm going to throw the aesthetics out. It's going to look weird for me with these boots on, with this corduroy jumpsuit. It was cute too. Yeah. And I was just like, and you got these beautiful, classy women looking good in their dresses. And so I purposely didn't wear makeup because like I said, I've watched the season since season 1. Since season 1. And I'm like, you know what? They want to see people without weave, makeup. I'm like, I ain't have time to pull a wig off, so it's going to stay on. So I can definitely move without some makeup on.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I ain't wearing no more makeup. I want to show up as my authentic self. They did give me some lotion, but I had to be on set for a specific, like, it was like, quick, you already running behind. It's time to get ready for set. So I'm lotioning my legs as best as I could. So when you see me sitting in the chair with my legs crossed, I can see it. I can see my cellulite. I can see that I'm ashy. And I've read comments where people was like, oh, she looked ugly, but they forget to do her makeup on her hair. And I'm like, so when you have a woman that shows up and presents herself from what y'all keep complaining about and what you want to see, and when I do it, you still attack me. Make it make sense.
Well, it's not. And the comments, I've told people on this channel, my job has been a publicist for years. That's what I did before. And so I know that there's no, especially Black women, unfortunately, Black women, the people that are meanest to Black women are other Black women. And I'm a Black woman, so I can say that. Please don't at me, because I'm a Black woman. And I know I was working with a particular artist, and she was young. She was 17, just coming out. She's very well known now. I'm not going to say her name because I don't want that to become bigger than the story. But women were so hateful to her. She would end up, crying when we were trying to figure out. The label was trying to make her get as skinny as possible. But the comments were always from other Black women, right? And that's what I hate about this. We make ourselves insecure by comparing ourselves to others. I like the fact that you said, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, because it was colorism and intraracial issues all through this episode. That just proves that we still have so much to do. But you said there's 10 beautiful women on this show. And that's the truth. And I don't care if you had a jumpsuit on or if you had a onesie on or what the hell you had. If they didn't get your dress right, you still looked beautiful, and you should not feel. And I'm saying it's easier said than done, because I'm definitely not.
I don't have any low self-esteem about me, and I'm tired of reading it.
But you shouldn't. You don't, girl. I would tell celebrity clients, don't read the comments, because the reality is the people that are doing the complaining, people are so much more apt to say something negative than positive. And we have so much healing to do as a culture, specifically
We do.
Black women. But the comment that you made to Janelle is a beautiful woman,
Absolutely.
regardless if she's light skinned or dark skinned or me or brown or whatever. She's just a beautiful girl. You are a beautiful girl as well. Now, I feel like a lot of times we allow our insecurities to speak, or what we've experienced before. I'm a brown skinned Black woman. I've definitely experienced feeling like, someone that a lot of times men would prefer lighter tone women. That's just life. And life shows up on Ready to Love, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that comment, not saying what Janelle said was right at all, I'm not talking about Janelle, I'm talking to you. Do you feel like that comment was right for you to say about they're just picking her because she's light skinned?
So that, to be honest, I'm a very authentic person, and I'm big on stand on what you say and do, and I'm standing by it.
Okay.
So
why would you say that? Why do you think that, though?
Being honest and standing on what you say, because you can't take back what you said.
No. Why do you think that they only were liking her because she's fair skinned?
So this was a broad statement as far as it tied into production as well, because she got away with a lot of stuff that if I did it, or I actually did something, me jumping up at her, but I can't go into detail all the things she's done because that'll rule the upcoming episodes.
Right.
So when you look at that, and I'm sure you'll hear from other cast members, it's like she got away with doing a lot, because when we got in the ladies' lounge, what stays in the ladies' lounge does not leave the ladies' lounge. And Tommy made it very clear, if anybody tries to ruin or manipulate this experience, he'll be the first to send you home. Okay. That was very well known. She never went home.
Okay.
So
when
she made that comment, I was like, okay, it ties into everything. You're like, because you're light skinned, because the minute I jump up, and I actually was going to apologize even after it happened. I even told one of the producers, I was like, I was wrong for jumping up. I should have controlled my anger.
Okay.
But y'all know everything that is going on, all the conversations that have been had. It's only so much you can hold in, or so much that can be said, and so much poke in the bear before somebody just snaps.
Yeah.
And that was my moment.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of snapping moments on camera, but mine's always get shown. My crying always gets shown, and I wasn't the only one on camera always crying either. It was people crying on their camera, but I get shown doing all that. So
I feel you on that. I think it's two parts to this. I appreciate you saying it shouldn't have jumped up.
Yeah. I take full accountability.
Can't allow people to get to you. Like I said, Janelle isn't here, so I'm not addressing what she did, but I don't agree with that statement that she made. They don't like you, and
because how you know that it's been.
It was also a statement to try to get you. You know what I mean? Like
she knew how to trigger me.
To trigger you, right? So you can't let people trigger you when you're on television. But I also do think that I have to say this as a woman, and I've said I think Black women are more hateful to other Black women than anybody else in the world. We could deal with what Black men do to us, what white men, if we could stop doing stuff to each other, we'd be great. But I do think it's dangerous, and I appreciate, let me see, the Haitian Empress said, the fact that your comment wasn't on camera was extremely dangerous about the comment to Janelle from Habibi, because we have to. Now, some women lie, but I think if she said, this person said this to me and that was inappropriate and disrespectful, regardless of what she's doing, nobody deserves to be talked to like that. And he can't say he didn't say it. He can say, I don't think I said it. Then what if it was on camera or not? It doesn't matter. It's disrespectful, and it shouldn't be. And I think that we have to hold men accountable. They're strong.
Absolutely.
he has to be held accountable. That was wrong, and you shouldn't be on this show talking like that. It ain't got nothing to do with your sense of humor. Everybody can have a sense of humor, but you have to be respectful, or you shouldn't be here. So I feel like when I watched it, I was just like, I wish she would have protected herself the way she was trying to protect Habibi. I feel like if you had poured all that protection into Taquilla, everything would be better. But I feel like you have a big heart, and you were trying to, protect somebody that you felt like had a good heart. But maybe he, I don't know him. Maybe he does. Maybe we just didn't see that side of him. But because nobody is perfect, but you are a beautiful woman, and you shouldn't feel insecure amongst any of them. And don't let nobody get you like that. Don't ever let no woman get you out of your character, because I don't feel like that's your character.
It's not, and I think my cast made so much, because in that moment, even like Unique, Kara, and Lee, both was like, you a queen, you are beautiful, like don't let nobody take you there.
Right.
But I also want to say, Crystal, because it wasn't shown, and it's in episode 2, but it wasn't shown. So after we were walking out of the bowling alley, we were unmiked. And Janelle, it was me and Habibi and Kira walking out. Okay. And Janelle, you know how you walking next to somebody and you loop your arm with theirs? So she loops her arms with Habibi, and she was like, Habibi, can I have a conversation with you? And he was like, yeah, what's up? She was like, I think you cool. I think you're fun. I think you're funny, whatever. She was like, but when we on camera, focus on who your connections is. There is no connection with us. And she said, other than that, we'll be good. And he was like, why you couldn't say that while we was mic'd up? I said, yes. Why didn't you say that while we were mic'd up? Yeah. So it's like, I wasn't trying to protect Habibi, but I'm just like, it's a lot of stuff that was said that's not shown. It was a lot of, and it's not just, I'm not even speaking in terms of Habibi and Janelle, but from other cast members. It was a lot of disrespectful stuff done and said on camera that I'm not going to speak on, because I want to see if it's going to get shown.
I want to see if it plays out.
Yeah, so it's like, this is what I wanted y'all to understand, because it's like, if you said that after I tried to address the tension between y'all and you waited till the mics was off, it makes me question, like, did you over exaggerate what he said? Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I definitely understand that.
It's not that I didn't trust her. I just wanted to make sure, like,
okay,
let's be real.
Point taken. If because I would have felt the same way, and I'm glad we straightened that out.
Yes, man. And I wanted to, and I'm trying to not give out too much, but I'm keeping it all the way 100. I'm big on that, and it was just like a lot was done. Because if I'm being honest, just like, we've heard people think this is a game show. Yeah. And I'm like, if I'm being honest, from my experiences from being in this process, it was no longer about ready to love. It was about who can get to the end.
Yeah. So we see that on every season. And I think that's why a lot of people don't like the show as much as they used to love it in the beginning. Like,
especially being a viewer to a castmate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot was, just like when Ciara said that he said F my mama, I'm like, that boy is close with his mama. So if he really said that, that's F'd up.
Well, he really is. But I don't think he meant it in a bad way. But like Edna said,
he didn't. But he said your mama ain't ish, which don't even make it better. Let's keep it 100.
Right. But he was just saying as a response to what she said. She said her mama had done something. They were playing back and forth, and he was like, I totally get it, but you got to read the room.
Read the room, and I agree with you 100% on that. So if he's known a joke or like that, when it came to her, I was like, I wonder, was he joking or did he really say that? So when I saw it on this episode, I was like, it's very clear that was a joke. He's misunderstood when it's come to his jokes, because his jokes can be disrespectful and dry. Yeah. So when she kept saying that, which I'm hoping if it was said off camera, why would you feel so comfortable to lock arms with this man off camera and tell him that when we're unmiked?
Yeah. Well, I would say, I just want to clear that part up. So you guys heard it. I asked her, why did she, question Janelle, question why, and then say you don't get to know him. But if it was because she saw the way they were interacting off camera, that's why she felt to say,
yes.
We're going to move on. We're going to move on from Habibi. Is there anything else you want to say? Because you did make a statement before we move on. You did make a statement. If you're going to eliminate Habibi, eliminate me. Why you say that, girl?
Okay.
Why you say that, Taquilla?
So Tommy told us, you got to do the work. you got to come to this process and do the work. You have to be open, be true to who you are. So if being authentic is being attacked in this situation like Habibi was, if being authentic, we know this man is being himself. He's not playing. So if he's being himself, being authentic, and he's being attacked and being sent home, and I know for a fact I'm coming to this place being authentic and showing up as my true self, and others are coming with masks on that will be soon revealed, and promoting it for exposure, then send me home. Because
but you weren't being disrespectful. You might have
wasn't.
You weren't.
That's what I was thinking in my head. I say,
but listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. You said he was being authentic, and I'm authentic. So if he goes, then I should go. But you were being authentic. You were not being disrespectful.
Yes,
that's why he got to go, because he was disrespectful.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why we were like, why would she put herself in that same position? Now, the comment about the colorism, both that situation was ugly back and forth. And I feel like
there's more to it.
Because even if you got to realize how many people see this show, it reiterates in every season on Ready to Love, there has been colorism has been an issue.
It's real.
It has been an issue. But my girlfriend Shay was on the other night. Shay is a chocolate girl, and she's beautiful. So it's not about color. Sometimes it's about personality and who they can get to do what. But I just feel like never assume. We've all dealt with it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, because we've all dealt with it. But I feel like we cannot assume if we don't really know. We don't really know. And I feel like a lot of times when we get to an emotional part, our own insecurities kind of creep up, right? I would say, oh my gosh, this guy may not like me because I'm divorced. Later, I'm like, girl, we didn't even know you was divorced. That was just you. That was you. That was you. So I feel like for the show, I wish we could stop with the light skin, dark skin, because it's just a bunch of beautiful women. Now, some people's attitudes ain't right, but it ain't got nothing to do with their skin tone. It has everything to do with just their inside, right?
So we can't turn ahead to say colorism isn't real.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying a comment like the men only like you because you're light skinned is not fair.
That was included with producers as a lot. That's what I'm saying. A lot is not being shown. A lot of that it was chopped and cut up. So
right.
No, I guess going off my experiences, not saying that from y'all point of view, I don't think that's my experience.
Right. But we just seeing, I can only speak to what we saw.
Yes, ma'am.
So I get what you're saying. So I want to move on to more colorism or race, interracial issues.
Okay.
The comment, because was it what? Oh my gosh, what's the guy's name? That's
Quentin.
Quentin. Yes, Quentin.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's talk about the conversation.
Let's get into it.
If you guys are watching, stay tuned. We are still talking. We are here with the very beautiful Taquilla. We are clearing all this up. There's a lot to clear up from this episode. It's so much to clear up. We got Habibi out the way. Habibi, what is going on with the Habib on the head? What is that? What is that about? Real quick before we get into
I've seen him without it, and he's very handsome.
Well, he's handsome with it, so I would assume he was handsome without it. I don't think anybody.
I think it's with his Muslim culture.
So okay, so it's legitimate that he really is a part of them. He really is Muslim. It's not just for TV.
Yes, from what he tells me.
Okay, all right. So let's move on to Quentin, because that was difficult to hear as well. Very strange. Very strange to hear in the first episode. Okay, so maybe this Quentin, some of the young ladies were suggesting that Quentin doesn't necessarily like Black women completely. Being in Dallas on a show that's on OWN with a predominantly Black audience, that's kind of crazy, but we've seen it before. We've seen it in other cities. So you spoke up about a conversation, and we actually saw footage of the conversation that you had with Quentin, where he said he wasn't really attracted to anybody, any other ladies on the show. All right, I'm sure she's going to just tap back in. We're getting ready to get good. Y'all, please hit the like button and share, because I appreciate Taquilla being 100% honest about everything that happened. So, yeah, we got to bring Taquilla back in.
My phone kind of...
No, it's. I figured it went off. Okay. So, how did you and Quentin get started? Where did that conversation come from to where said that there's nobody that he was attracted to.
Okay, so after I had got eliminated, after I was in the bottom, I went to the bathroom to just cool off, refresh. You know, I was talking to different people, and I come out the restroom, and we're in the living room of the house. So he was like, "Hey, I wanted to circle back and check on you. I know, just want to see how you feeling." And I was like, "I do kind of feel blindsided because, like, I thought we were off to a good start." And he was like, we did have a good start." And so you have to understand that. I'm like, okay, if that was the case, I shouldn't have been in the bottom. So he started speaking encouraging words to me too. And I was like, let me be honest with you. I am a very direct and upfront woman. So if for any reason we're going through this process and you're not feeling me or you're no longer interested in me, please just let me know, because I want to respect your place in this journey and I want to respect my place in this journey and try to pursue otherwise. Okay. And he was like, "Oh, absolutely, absolutely." He was like, yeah. I was like, because it's not gonna hurt my feelings if you're upfront with me and you're direct. You are not gonna hurt my feelings, but if you lie to me, that's where I lose respect, because I'm giving you the opportunity to tell me the truth. Okay. And so, especially if we're coming to this process, doing the work, being our authentic self, and being open. Let's be 100. Let's be open. So, I was like, so after this long day, he actually got my number, but he denied getting it because I was sitting at the table with Aries. He just went and got everybody's number. Okay. And he swears he didn't get my number when he handed me the phone and I put it in his phone. But anyway, and I was like, well, is there anyone here that, you're kind of getting a feel for, you kind of liking? And he was like, you know what, I'm going to be honest with you. He was like, there's not normally any woman in here that's my type that I would go after. And I said, oh, ouch. I was like, we got some baddies in here, like different shapes, sizes, and skin colors, chocolates, and all that. And we kind of giggled a little bit. He was like, yeah. But he was like, if I had to pick, I would say Janelle and Sierra. I said, so I'm not a coming factor. He was like, I didn't say that. We still have room to go. But he was like, right now, them two. And he says he like fit girls. So I'm like, okay. I was like, okay, so you must stay outside of your culture. And he was like, well, I'm from Miami. Right. He said, I've always grew up in an environment around Latinos, whites, but he says he has dated Black women, but, he has a preference for Latinos. And I'm like, so you
this ain't that. This ain't that. This ain't that. Okay. So did he, when he was telling you that, could you tell that he knew that wasn't smart to tell a Black woman on a Black show?
Or it was just like, I felt in that moment, that right there, I was like, we're not a connection. Yeah. And so, dang it, that's gonna be, it'll tie into this upcoming week, because I haven't seen it, so I'm gonna see it with you guys, so I can't speak too much in detail.
Yeah, and I want to be sure that I say, let me say this, because I saw somebody said, spoiler alert. This is not a spoiler alert.
It's not.
This is what happened on
in the scene, because it was mentioned in that scene. They took
the scene from last week when they went to talk about, the guys. It was mentioned, and actually was a conversation in the ladies' lounge about the fact that Quentin may not. Actually, you weren't even the one that brought it up. That he may not. Right. It was here, and then what's the girl's name? That I got to learn everybody's name. We don't have the cast list like we usually do. That said, well, I think I would be the closest to white personality wise.
Kira. Let me, can I clear that up real quick?
Please, yes.
So Kira, in my opinion, this is just my perception. When she said, I don't think the way it came out is how she meant it. Okay. Kira has went to a private college school, predominantly white. Okay. She's, grown up in a predominantly white neighborhood. Okay. So, I think at the time when she was a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, it wasn't very many Black women on there. So she's worked around a lot of white dancers, like her dance classes. She was pretty much the only Black girl there. So she's proper. She speaks proper. So you know how women in our culture be like, oh, she acts like a white girl. She talks like a white girl. No, she's just proper. She speaks well. Right. So I think her best friend is white. My best friend is white. So I can relate to Kira because I went to a private college where it was predominantly white, and I was the minority at the time when I went. It was only 8 of us Black people, and the rest were white.
Mm-hmm.
So I could relate to her in that moment. So when she said that, I was like, "Ooh, that's not gonna come out right." But I get what she's trying to say.
Yeah.
With her environment, her being just an isolated Black girl, predominantly around white people, you would consider him being a previous football player. She's a cheerleader. In a predominantly white, field environment, whatever. She would be considered the closest thing to white. Like you would think.
It is. I understand why she said it. I didn't take offense because
I didn't either.
I grew up.
I knew it would come out the wrong way.
I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I was one of the only Blacks a lot of the times. Went to University of Oklahoma, and I've been told that. In fact, when I first went to school with Black kids, I was told, "Oh, you talk white." I've heard that.
Yeah,
probably not as much now that I've been in Atlanta for a while, but I used to hear that a lot. And I've even heard it here in Atlanta. And I can say as a Black woman that offends me. I ride horses, and people are like, "That's white girl." I hate that. I hate that because I feel like as Black women, we speak all types of different ways.
Yes.
That's ignorant, but I understand what she meant because I've heard it a lot. I've heard guys say you act like a white girl, blah, blah, and I don't like that. It irritates the crap out of me because I love who I am and I always have. Yes, I'm a Sooner, Boomer Sooner to my Sooner born and Sooner bred. But this is the thing. A lot of times when a man has a preference that's not African American, his preference is more for the look than it is for the behavior, right? So that's the difference. It's like when she was like, she's the closest thing. No, actually, probably it would have been Sierra or Jeanette, because if you
okay, so you just said my key word. So when he said if I had to pick two, it would be Janelle and Sierra. Those are the closest to as far as mixed looking, like light skinned, like those were the two. So I was like, okay, there's no connection. So, and let me keep it all the way 100 because I'm big on, I'm always keeping 100 because everybody does it, and this cast has done it. So when he said that, I'm like,
yeah.
Quentin, I don't think Quentin for us. And so like we went on the Instagram page. We looked, there was assumptions. I'm gonna be real and said they probably won't, but I keep it all the way 100.
Right.
And so you look at his following, it's primarily Hispanic, Latino. It's some Black people in there too. It's certain people that have worked with him before that's majority of his clientele. So it makes sense. But
we also got to say this, and I want to ask your opinion on this, Taquilla, because we get offended. It offends me, right?
Yeah.
I have my mother is very, very fair skinned. My daughter is. I am brown, right? So when I hear a guy say, "Well, I prefer lighter skin" or something, like it can make you feel insecure. It used to. It doesn't anymore, but it used to. But as Black women, sisters, we have to acknowledge, I just said that my preference was tall, dark, and handsome. Most of us prefer chocolate men. And I think we have to be honest and say, if it's okay for us to have a preference.
Absolutely. And if that's his preference, are you coming open to the process?
Now that part I'm with. But it's weird because you watched the show with us. It seemed like, to me, I felt the most connection that he had was with Lee, who is adorable.
We all had a connection with Lee, baby. We was all mesmerized over her. Look at her. She's beautiful. She walked in the door. We all like, who is that?
Yeah, she's beautiful. But I was like, when I was watching the two of them, I also thought, he and Aries had a connection, but I just really felt like he and Lee were just, and she's a beautiful little chocolate thing.
She even said that. She was like, baby, I'm chocolate.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. And just seems to have a real sweet spirit. But
she does.
For him to be, so maybe his preference, because I will say for me, I used to always say my preference was chocolate.
Yeah.
Darker than me. But girl, God has sent me white chocolate, and I'm okay with it. I had never had it before, Taquilla. My husband was the first man I've ever dated that was not chocolate. And when I tell you I am cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for him. So maybe maybe if I can like dark skinned guys, but actually end up in love with a light skinned guy, and I always knew he was attractive. That wasn't my type.
Right.
So if we can do it, we have to allow men the same grace.
Absolutely.
And if Quentin is usually attracted to others, but he can look like the rest of us and see that Leah's beautiful as heck and appreciate then I'm not mad at that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I agree with that.
So what was the vibe in the ladies' lounge by the end of that conversation?
Janelle was very like defensive. Oh, she said, "Oh, that's a rumor Taquilla started." It wasn't no rumor, baby. That was facts. That's what came out of his mouth. It's not a rumor.
That's not a rumor.
That's not a rumor. So let's be clear.
Right.
And she took that and carried a bone. Like she made it more than what it was. Like it was just like that was a discussion I had with him. At least I had that discussion with him.
Right.
So the vibe after that, we just moved on to the next guy because even Tommy was like, this shouldn't even be coming up.
Right.
So
it shouldn't come up, but it comes up every season.
Yeah.
Every season. And I do want to say, to you, first of all, again, thank you for being honest.
Absolutely.
And thank you for being willing to come on and have a real conversation, even though I know social media was difficult. Like that takes a lot of courage, and I appreciate that.
It does because, and another thing I would like to address, Crystal, if you will.
Of course.
So, I read that, I'm insecure. None of the guys liked me. I'm ghetto. First of all, ghetto is a good time to me. I don't mind visiting the ghetto, but I don't want to live there. I am far from ghetto. And ghetto is a very broad term to use that people really need to be careful with their choice words that they use.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easy to judge somebody sitting on your couch watching somebody on TV when you're not being judged. Because if we really want to go down the list of insecurities and a pick-me, I could never be a pick-me. I get chose.
Mm-hmm.
I get picked. So I just wanted to address that as well. Like, people have put up with a lot in relationships, friendships and partnerships, whatever. So stop acting like the way I behaved on camera, like that is me in real life. No, because I had other connections that are not being shown on the show.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You did. Okay. So can you tell us, not anything after, but in those first 2 episodes, who did you talk to that we didn't see that you enjoyed the conversation? Oh, and I still got to ask you about Phil. One more thing, Taquilla. It was just a lot going on. We done usually these interviews are shorter, but it was a lot happening. What?
Yes, I am a controversy.
Girl, what was okay, so give us your perspective on the conversation with Phil, because I will say this. I'm always of the mindset, like, you don't have to tell me twice. So if a man is not feeling me, please believe, sir, you're not going to have to show me that you're not feeling me again. What happened and why did you have that conversation again so he could kind of make it more like, where did that come from? The sexual conversation. He was like, if you're not doing this, I'm good. If you're not willing to do what I'm I guess you guys weren't sexually compatible, he didn't think. But why did you guys have the conversation again?
What do you mean again?
Maybe just one time.
So when I got there, Phil was the very first guy that I talked to. We talked for about, I want to say about 15, 20 minutes, and then I had to, move on to the next person. Okay. So when I circled back around to Phil, it was probably like 6 or 7 that evening in that scene.
Okay.
And so, without giving too much, I was guided on, okay, we got the basic questions out of the way. Let's try to dig deeper. Let's really get to that deep level, like get to know them on a different level. So, that was the first question. Like in that moment, you got the cameras on you, like you got to be quick on your toes. So I'm like, so I asked that question about sex, and he chuckled. So a lot was chopped up in that moment, and it was edited. But what he said I wasn't turned off by that. But when he said the garage, I was like, the garage just had to be rodents in there. And I was like, oh, okay then. And then when he said, it's like my personality wasn't being shown because I'm really a goofy person. I love to laugh. I love to talk. Like I ask really deep questions. And a lot of my good questions didn't get aired, but that's okay. So when he made that comment, I was like, that was totally just, that scene was totally edited more than what it was. So
okay.
Yeah, but Phil actually stated that I made him feel uncomfortable, and I'm like, okay then, Phil, at this big age, you like 40 something years old. This ain't your first rodeo.
He said you made him feel uncomfortable because you asked
about sex.
About sex. Okay, yeah, I saw. Okay.
So as a grown man, I was just like, one, let's be for real.
Yeah.
Everybody it may not get shown, but I wasn't the only one talking about sex that night.
Woo.
But you know,
okay.
Yeah,
everybody's talking about sex. I'm sure because that's Marvin. It's Marvin that has the books, right? That's the erotic author.
Yes, and Marvin talked more about traveling, his kids, like what he's looking for in his marriage. Like he talked about so much more other than sex. It's just
that's like, I mean, they're making TV.
Yeah.
And that's definitely, I don't want to, I mean, a guy that has a safety word. I think Shay and I were talking about it when we did the recap. I don't, that's not for me. That could be for someone else. I don't want a guy that I have to have a safety word.
Yeah.
Sex. But I appreciate the fact that he's very upfront with it because, if you want to be into that bondage and all that, if there is an audience for it, and there's a young lady that's into it. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen.
I've actually supported him and went to one of his shows, readings, and he writes really good books. I've read his books. I just purchased it.
What happens at the show?
At his show, he's reading his book live, and he has his so he has a whip or whatever.
Okay. Okay.
He has his little, stuff, his tools or whatever, and he's just as he's reading it, he's acting it out and stuff.
Really? Yeah. Come and go to a show.
You'll love it.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. All right. So, anything else that you want to clean up on what happened? I think, and I will say this, Taquilla, I don't think people are I think people started calling you ghetto probably because of the standing up and the getting ups and the getting emotional, right? So I think that's the connection. And I'm not saying everybody gets upset. Everybody gets their feelings.
I was about to say, do people act proper when they upset and
it depends on the person and how they come out. It depends on the person. It depends on everybody's different. Everybody is different. Everybody is different. But I feel like, I will say this. You could tell me if you think I'm wrong. I feel like your feelings were hurt. And I think that would have hurt my feelings too.
It was. I'm honest enough to say it. And another thing I would like to say, everyone, just like you say, everybody's different. Everyone handles their emotions different. And I'm a very passionate person. I do love hard. Yeah. I do have a big heart. While others sometimes mask their emotions, mine are revealed through my tears. Yeah. So if I'm going to come to this process again, being authentic, you're going to see the emotions. You're going to get all of me. You're going to experience it. And I'm not ashamed of it. Yeah. So people are saying, maybe this wasn't her platform. Oh, okay. Because everybody else wasn't shown being emotional on camera, but I was. So does that make everybody else not for the platform as well?
No. Okay. I think you got to, with comments, you got to keep the meat and throw back the bones.
Yes.
So I wouldn't even let any of that get to me. But like I said, I think at the base of it, as Black women, we need to be kinder to each other.
Absolutely.
Those that don't want to do that, we should just allow them not to do that. But I think as a whole, this show, there are 10 beautiful women that all have something to offer. And I hate it, but like you said, colorism is a part. But colorism does play a part in our culture, but we can do our part not to perpetuate it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I think that's my whole thing. But I'm just trying to give you clarity from a viewer.
And I appreciate that. I do, and I take ownership, and I will apologize publicly because that shouldn't have came out of my mouth. But
I like that.
In that moment when you're heated, it's just
yeah, and you're hurt. When you're hurt, things come out to try to hurt the other person. It's a natural human reaction,
right?
But it's not everybody. Like I said, it's not. When we're talking about the guys, when her saying the guys don't like you, she doesn't know that. But in the same token, you can't say they only like her because she's a beautiful girl, and we don't. Everybody has their own thing that they have to offer. Really, women shouldn't be talking about who anybody likes, because you guys know men will say one thing to you because they want something to say something else to somebody else. So they may tell a woman, I don't like her, and then they'll go to the other woman and say, that men pit us against each other all the time. But they don't have to if we're doing all the dirty work for them.
You right. No, thank you for that, though. Thank you. I definitely take accountability for that, and I definitely was wrong, and I own that.
That's all we can ask. That's all we can ask. Let me ask you this last couple of questions, and I definitely appreciate you being patient, because I had to get to
absolutely
points. We had a lot of points to get out.
Absolutely, I'm here for it.
But okay, is there any other couple? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I think Clinton and Lee are so cute. I want them to get together. I want them to go to the end. I love it. I want to see them work out together and all that.
Okay.
I just felt like that was the only couple so far. We haven't really gotten to know. We're just on episode 2. I'm sure we'll get to know. And there's some other, attractive men and beautiful women.
Mm-hmm.
I did think, is it how do you pronounce it? Amarie. I thought that he seemed very kind, the way that he was talking to you afterwards. And I think I would say this, women that are single, because this is what I do. I talk to us single women, and I'm not talking necessarily straight to men, because I'm not a man, so I don't know what to tell men. Right. But what I do know is why a lot of us are single, because our attitudes suck.
Okay.
And sometimes you can get to be beautiful and successful and not realize that your attitude sucks. So I felt like, for the conversation with Red, the young lady that said to him, your job is a thought job. I thought that was totally inappropriate. Like, who says that? If that's not for you, then you don't have to insult the person. But a lot of times we will insult men and then not understand why they insult us back. So when he came with the same energy and she got offended, I think that's ridiculous. And I think that for the people that are on the show, for the women that are single that do want a relationship, number one, treat others how you want to be treated.
Absolutely.
And just because you're successful and beautiful doesn't mean that you have a past to treat other people like crap. It's not what that means. And I think sometimes, I don't think we're trying to, because I know a lot of successful women, and I'll be like, girl, you mean as hell. Like,
yeah,
I'm not trying to be mean, but sometimes we just get thrown off. So I feel like, even like how we're saying, we can sit up all day and say he can't be short. I think somebody made a comment about Amarie's height.
Okay, can I clear that up?
Yeah.
So I actually asked Leanne about that. When she said vertically challenged, she was not talking to Marie. She was saying that about Red. Because Marie is actually taller than Leanne.
Oh, is Red short?
I think he's a little bit shorter than Leanne.
Oh, okay. Okay. We have Leanne, guys. Leanne is on Friday. So tune in. We're going to talk to her on Friday about her journey. But I think that women, we'll say a man is short. We'll say he don't have enough money for me. We'll say it publicly and expect them to be cool. But the minute a man says, I don't want someone that's that size, or I want someone that's a different skin tone, we get butt hurt. And we can't do that. Like, it's giving like undateable. Like, a man is not going to want you if you're beautiful, but you have a nasty attitude. I mean, he may want you to play with, but he may not want you to be with. And I think And you shouldn't want to be that way for yourself. Truth of July says she loves short men. Well, speak up for the short men then, because
yes, they need love too.
they need love too.
We all need love.
We all deserve love. We all deserve love. So I think the best way to get love is to give love. But I do think that we have to let people fight their own battles. And I would say for you, I love your heart, but let Habibi swim on his own.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And if because I don't know if he would have done the same for you. You feel me?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. I don't know him. I haven't talked to him, and I have nothing. I'm just commenting on the show that we saw, but I don't know if he would have went as hard for you. I feel like your heart is big and you felt bad for him. You're in a new environment. Your feelings were hurt. There was a lot of emotions going on, but I don't think he would have went that far.
That's hard. Yeah.
Anybody else but himself, right? So, yes, thank you, Truth of July. It's not every woman wants to be picked, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be picked. That's a basic human desire. And I think we are so mean to each other. Oh, she's a pick me. Oh, she's a whore. She's a this. She's a that.
That's crazy because I had 3 connections. Like Red was a connection. Red straight. One thing I appreciate about Red said I have a top 4. You are in my top 4.
Oh, Red has 4. Okay.
Oh, Red had 4. He was 100 with me.
I guess
we're going by the
too bad.
Yes, the mixer. Me and Maria had already determined we were a connection.
Okay.
Me and Chris didn't get enough time together, but it was established we are a connection. We have interest in each other. So for them to keep saying I wanted to be picked and that I cling towards to Habibi, I'm like, it's so much that's not being shown. Like, Habibi was not the only guy that I was talking to and connected with. Because
you went so hard for him when you made that statement saying if he goes home, I go home. The only other person,
the strength of authenticity,
right? But see, we didn't say that. We didn't see that. The only other person I've seen do that was Camille and Cornelius, and that was because if they go home, I'm with him. We're locked in, right?
Yeah.
So when you make a statement like, if that person goes home, I'm gonna go home. Of course, people are gonna assume that that's your one and only. Shay said, if they send Mike home, I was gonna go home. I didn't want to date nobody else here but Mike. So you put yourself in that place, so of course people are going to assume that was your top connection. And even when Janelle said they top, I think she thought that was your top connection. Maybe, I mean, that's the way it was presented, that she thought that was who you were riding with as a top connection.
My tops were definitely said in that room, so it's like, girl,
okay, cool, my bad. I was trying to give the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Never mind. So, no, that was wrong. But yeah, we didn't know.
But it wasn't shown, so technically you are right. You're going off what was shown.
Yeah, we just going off what we saw. We didn't have the benefit of the doubt to see behind. Taquilla, tell us what is not for the show, but tell us a little bit about you. What are you looking forward to in your life? Obviously, we're hoping that you find love and that we're able to follow this journey. But what are you looking forward to, in the next phase of your life? You're 35 now. That's a beautiful age. You got a lot ahead of you. You're still young to be able to really enjoy it. And you don't have children, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what are you looking forward to, over, I say, the next 5 years?
So I'm currently working on my brand, my nonprofit, which is SCARS. It stands for Stories Celebrating Authenticity.
Okay.
Relationships and support. So SCARS is definitely about my experiences going through anxiety, depression, heartbreak, relationship issues, all the things that can tear you down and wound you. Mm-hmm. And so everything that's meant to break you, I took those wounds and healed from them, which I wear my scars as a badge of resilience and celebration and overcoming all those trials and tribulations. So I want to create a nonprofit and kind of develop that and get the ball rolling on that. So I want to definitely have like brunches and speaking engagements where I invite people in panels. Like I want to do a podcast too, where I'm working on that as well, where, I'm inviting different people, and it's for men and women as well.
Nice.
Where we coming in, we're sharing our stories and our wounds, because we have different phases in life where it was a wound phase, where we're trying to heal and get through this scar and clean it up.
Right.
you have that phase where your scars, you're healed, and you're gonna get through it and celebrate that win. So I'm currently working on that now.
Is there a website that I can put here in the chat for people to go to, or
so I actually not yet. It's in the works. It's still getting built. I'm working on that, but I am starting to talk a lot about it on my Instagram page. So if everyone wants to follow me at Daily Dose of Taquilla until I finish up the website, it's currently being worked on and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm working on that now, and actually you'll hear from some of my castmates that's going to be on the podcast too as well, telling their stories and sharing their experiences. So that's my biggest project right now.
Nice. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I think any person, everybody has experienced depression, trying to anxiety. I mean, especially recently over the last 5 years, we're
yes,
all
ma'am.
different things. And so I think it's definitely, especially for the Black community, there's as many opportunities as we can to have that conversation are definitely necessary. So please reach out and let me know how, we can help, or, whatever.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I also want to say one more thing. So just knowing, because it was a big uproar with, the controversy with me in that episode with Janelle, you have the media attacking you, and I'm like, here it goes. Those are their wounds that's opening back up. And, I think for us as a culture, we have to be careful, because everybody knows this is reality TV. This is entertainment, but you can't sit up here and say Black Lives Matter and then turn around and attack your same culture and like tear us down. So I think that's something we really have to work on too, because if we want to talk about some scars this weekend, I felt some scars.
I'm sure. That's why I was glad to have you come on and explain. But I think you're right. We do have to realize that we're hurting each other, which really means we're hurting ourselves. But hurt people do that. So a lot of times you got to realize people from behind their computer screen, they could be going through the worst thing. And sometimes people feel like being mean to other people or hating on other people make them feel better. Now that's a very dysfunctional outlook, but there are a lot of people that feel that way. So what I would tell my clients, and I've represented a lot of celebrities over the last 20 years, is that you can't, first of all, you have to guard your mind.
Absolutely.
Guard your mind. So reading all the comments is not necessarily what you need to do. And then second of all, you have to remember that when a person, you don't know who these people are. They're faceless people that are online. And a dog will howl. I did a thing. I said, the dog howls at the moon. The moon does not respond, because the moon is like paying no attention. Like, I gotta lighten up the world I'm doing. So you cannot respond. When you find somebody who is vibrating on a lower energy level than you are, you cannot respond to that. Right. Yes. And the comments, Quilla, I would say, as a sister, I feel like I am sisters with all Black women. That's why I have the channel.
Me too.
So do not ever allow anybody. You look at this woman right here, Michelle Obama. I have Jennifer Lewis. I have Maya Angelou around me. Like, you don't ever let anybody take you out of your character.
Absolutely.
I don't care what, because you don't know what that person's going through, right?
Yes.
So, people can be hateful. They can say, and I'm not saying be a fool and let people drag you, but I am saying I'm not ever going to let anybody take me out of being Crystal. So you're not going to get me out of being Crystal, because that's who I am. So if you're doing something else, then you have no access to me. Right. And that could be hard. That's easier said than done.
And I'm working on it.
You can do it. And really, it's getting our emotions under control. Once we have confidence in ourselves and we really know who we are, we really don't, it's hard to get you triggered. It's like, it's hard to trigger somebody that is very confident in who they are. You're growing as a young woman. You have a beautiful future ahead of you. Don't let the negative comments. The great thing about right now is next week, people won't even be talking about this. They'll be talking about something else. And whatever else we see that happens this coming Friday on the show. So you're going to be fine.
Yes.
Block out the haters. Focus on Taquilla, and go to the energy of people that give that energy back to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. And love, like I said, we can't talk about it right now. You have to come back.
I'm looking forward to it so we can finish it up.
Gotta finish it up because I know there's a lot else that there is out there that we can't talk about.
Yes.
So you have to come back, and so we will definitely welcome you back and definitely be tuned in on Friday.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you, Crystal. Thank y'all for viewing. I really appreciate you guys for the support.
Absolutely. We'll be watching. We'll be watching.
Okay. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on a Monday night. That conversation was great. I'm really glad we got a chance to hear Taquilla's side of the story. And I want to let you know that on Friday, we will have Leanne on here, and along with Tiffany from season 1. So Leanne is going to be talking. She was the first woman that was let go on Ready to Love Dallas. She's going to be sharing with us her side of the story. And then Monday, we'll have another cast member on. So we're going to get into it this season. Remember, again, the interviews are not going to be saved until the end. I'm going to be interviewing people throughout the season so that we can have these conversations and keep up on what's going on during the season. I appreciate you guys always for watching. Make sure that you are subscribed and make sure that you share this broadcast so that people get a chance to hear Taquilla's side. All right. You guys have a productive week. I love you for watching. I'll see you on Friday right after Ready to Love. Bye-bye.